I'm Sally Jane from TravelSmith, and I want to welcome you here to B2B Show. In our beautiful presentation this evening, where we're going to have UniWorld and African Travel present to us this evening. I know it takes there's some more pizzas coming out if anybody wants to get a last batch before we start. If you want to run up and go get some. If not, they will be there for you later. I want to introduce to you this evening, we have 100 Consulting Group right behind here. This is Jose and Tom, and they will be videotaping this evening our presentation for guests that weren't able to attend this evening, that they can see it either on our website, and they'll put up little snippets on Facebook and Instagram, just so you know. But it's great because somebody that can't make it can actually watch the presentation and decide if they want to do and have an amazing adventure with UniWorld or African Travel. We also have this evening here my general manager, Jennifer Fitzgerald, and one of my team members is a travel advisor. Her name is Caitlin Keller, and of course my little young lady, Jenna Dante, who is my girl, who is our frontline advisor, not frontline, I apologize, front desk gal that will answer the phones, take your messages, help you and guide you, get your brochures. Actually, probably the coordinator of getting things together. But, and then, what else? I just want to explain, has someone not used Travelsmiths in here? Okay, I want to give you a little bit of background about us. We've been in business since 1986, well I have. I started as an independent contractor and worked our way up to be owning my own agency back in the 90s, and then going storefront back in 2006. When I went storefront, I had 6 agents, scared stiff, didn't know what I was going to do. We're right on Route 88 at the base of the bridge. And when you come down, I didn't know what was going to happen. Now, I have 26 team members, 14 frontline advisors that specialize all over the world. And that's important because we believe in service. Service is so important. We're going to educate you. We're going to start you from the beginning of your trip. I'm sorry, I didn't get to say hello to you earlier, but I will later. Like, hey. But we start you from the beginning of your trip to when you come home and say you had a fabulous time. That's very important in these days. I have a regular phone, which many people have that phone number, 99% of you do. But then I also have a phone that is the bat phone. And that phone is so important to ring while you are traveling. I just had somebody call me last night. His wife was sick. They were supposed to leave today. They're in Europe. And she went to the hospital. We called the tour operator, advised the transfers. We didn't change the flights because we didn't know how it was going to turn out. And I checked in with them about, I guess it was 3 a.m. their time, so 9 o'clock my time. And he said, we just left and she's walking. She's feeling better, Sally. So at 4 o'clock this morning, I checked in with them because I knew that they were going to get on that flight. He goes, we got our transfer, I put everything back into place. And that's important. We don't get many phone calls like that, but we do get them. And you need to know that you have us in your pocket. And people that have traveled with me before, you know that about us. And that's really important. And I own Travelsmiths, and everybody's my baby. And my people that work for me, they're amazing, and they think like I do. They don't have to be, hi Stacy. It's Stacy, she's one of our other travel advisors. They don't have to be me, but they have to think like I do because that's what makes our agency different and special. So without further ado, I want to introduce you Chris Spola. He is our UniWorld rep. And I've known Chris for many years, and he's full of a lot of life and excitement. And he's going to explain to you, for people that are interested in UniWorld, as well as may not be here for UniWorld, but know a beautiful, sweet surprise on the end. And also, I think I want to talk about that. We do have some full brochures over here for UniWorld at the end of the presentations. Okay? Without further ado, Christopher, make it happen.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I can actually... Before I get started with UniWorld, I can attest for Sally's customer service. I went to Cabo with some college buddies, and there was an incident on the way back with the transfer. Called Sally, she said, get on the shuttle, I'm putting it on my card, we'll take care of it when I get home, and make sure you take a drink to go. So the customer service is always there, so I swear by Sally. So, appreciate you. So, how many of you have actually heard of UniWorld River Cruises by anyway? Ooh, I'm actually very impressed. So, the reason why you probably haven't heard of us is we're actually luxury and boutique. A lot of the other river cruises, I won't mention them by name, but they're mass market. And believe it or not, they're actually on the lower tier where they sit on the river. We're actually the kinds of...
Come over this side.
Oh, sorry.
No, I can't hear you. Come on this side. This way,
Oh.
they'll be able to hear you better.
Thank you.
There we go. Thank you.
Okay, everyone see okay? Perfect. So we're actually owned by the Travel Corporation brand, which owns companies like Kontiki, Trafalgar, African Travel, and we're inspired actually by Red Carnation Hotels. So how UniWorld got started is we wanted it to feel like a luxury boutique hotel that's floating, like a little floating palace, which we'll get into. Now, let's start with a little intro. Okay, so who here has been on a river cruise before? Nice. So, with UniWorld, our biggest differentiation at UniWorld is that we are all-inclusive. Although I hate that word, because it feels like almost, especially from being this neck of the woods, I know we want good food, good customer service, right? What I want to say about that word is don't think it's that diluted experience, like kind of like watered down alcohol, bad pasta, marinara sauce, burgers, Dominican Republic. It's basically to make your life seamless, everything being included stateside. That way you leave with memories, not a bar tab. Everything's included. There's no catch. A lot of the other river lines kind of nickel and dime you. You may be a little bit shocked at the brochure price, be like, oh wow, that's very cheap, $1,500. When you go there and then suddenly your bill's $7,500, you're like, where did that come from? 2 martinis and a steak? And that's where you go. So with UniWorld, everything's taken care of stateside and included. And that's what all you have to do is just go to Sally, pick out your itinerary, and then everything's taken care of. And we'll get into all the details on how you can enjoy your vacation seamlessly. Now, what's one of the most, I want some hands now. What's one of the most important things on a vacation that you're looking for? Who said that? Unlimited premium top shelf alcohol. Now you got your Grey Goose, Johnny Walker, Appleton rum. Now, with some of us in the room, this could make or break that tab on vacation. That could be the $1,500 in savings alone. And you want to enjoy your vacation. You don't want any restrictions, like easy on the martinis over there. And then, you leave with the bar tab. But you want to start the vacation on the high and end on the high, not end on the low. With a few excursions and a few martinis, you're like, we're at that $7,500. But with UniWorld, all included. Also, you could push back and be like, I don't really drink that much. We also have luxury mocktails as well. So liquorless wine, liquorless beer, and we also have a sommelier on all of our sailings, which elevates the experience at dinner and lunch.
I want to say one thing.
Yes.
My husband's celiac, and we were on UniWorld, and he likes beer, but he can't drink regular beer. So the bar manager went off the ship, purchased gluten-free beer, and brought it on the ship for him. Go ahead, Diane.
Those are the other people. We are luxury. And I thank you for bringing it up. You get a bag. That's a differentiation. There's no restriction, no beer and wine at dinner. If you're up, you can have your tequila. And I'm speaking from experience. So no restrictions, and you want to enjoy your vacation. You're already, with the price of airfare to go to Europe, you want to enjoy your vacation. You want no limits, right? So, let me go back one. Dining, and especially being from this neck of the woods in Jersey, when we travel, we want good customer service and good food. Because other than that, what's the point? Because we have high standards in the Northeast. So, farm-to-table dining. Everything is locally sourced within 35 kilometers of the port you're going to. So the destination is pouring itself on board. So the chef is actually going out into local markets, getting those ingredients for dinner. You can even join them, which is nice. And everything is locally sourced, local poultry, local wine. So you're having a regional inspired menu on board. We like to joke around, you'll never see a Cisco truck back into a UniWorld ship. It's going to be the local farmers, which is really nice because we like to leave the destination better than we found it. So we're really contributing to the ports. And people get excited when a UniWorld ship comes into port, and we're also the nicest ones there too, so that's not a bad.
And before you run on, once again, my husband's celiac. They made the best gluten-free croissants. Every day they made him something special. As soon as they found it, they knew, because we tell them before you get on. But the first day when they met him, and they said, oh, tomorrow I'll take care of you. And it was a delight. Every morning was something a surprise for him. And at night. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. And then with UniWorld, for example, I had a colleague who went, and she went with her husband, and they went on a culinary excursion. They came back, and he's like, she ate, and he wasn't. He's like, oh, I'll just have a cheese board or a charcuterie. Chef comes out, 5-tier charcuterie board. Loved it. Following day, now he's willing to eat because he didn't do a culinary experience. The chef brings it out again. He's like, why are you bringing out this charcuterie board again? He goes, well, I knew you liked it. I want you to enjoy your vacation. So it's these little personal touches that people really remember and make us stick out. They're not just, ships passing in the night to our service. No pun intended. Transfers included. The day you leave, the day you arrive, as well as our extensions. No catch, all included. When you're with Travelsmiths and they do your air for you, Sally and her team are going to log in all that stuff, all taken care of. And someone's going to meet with you with a nice UniWorld sign, and then so be it. Gratuities, no big fat ATM withdrawal from Chase before you leave. Like I said, we want to leave with memories, not a tab. All included. However, if you do an offshore excursion and you go to Normandy for the day and you really like your tour guide, you can throw a few euros, that's it. And they even have an exchange on board where you can, cash in some American in exchange. So everything's about convenience. Excursions, excursions, excursions. Everything is included. You have the option between 1 to up to 5 a day. Now, how does this process work? This process actually works just like this, how you're doing right now. Little hors d'oeuvres, little alcohol, when a cruise port talk the night before, and then you just pick simply what you want to do on a sheet and hand it into the cruise manager. So you're socializing with other people on board. They're going to do a port talk just like I'm doing right now, and then that's it. Seamless. No running out of room, no space, no knocking each other over. It's a nice process, and they're going to go over all the options for you. For example, with I just did Paris and Normandy. We're the only river ship that does Utah and Omaha Beach. So experiences like that. My experience from Omaha Beach, I took my parents because it was both their birthdays. We had a private ceremony where they sang America the Beautiful on the beach. We all dropped roses, little bit rainy out. Sun comes out at the monument, rainbow, French Army fighter jets. That was just by coincidence, but someone next to me, they go, wow, UniWorld really outdid themselves with the rain. So, but it's little experiences like that, because a lot of our excursions are private and exclusive, and the joke is, you want to see Americans, you go to Europe during the summer. So UniWorld really does try to make those experiences exclusive, so you don't feel like you're at Disney the majority of the time.
So so let's talk about that. How many can they, if they're there all day, can they do 1? Can they do 2? Can they do
as many as you want, and it's designed so you can take advantage of lunch on the ship too, so that you can do an excursion for the day, then come back and have your included farm-to-table dining, have that cocktail we were talking about, and then go back out there. And we have different kinds of excursions. A lot of other companies, like we mentioned, will say, a walking tour, here's the local city hall, and here's the local fountain. That's not an excursion. We have stuff like truffle hunting, cider tasting, hiking, and biking. We realize that our UniWorld clients an active demographic. So we wanted to make stuff that's more appealing, because some people don't really want to go to a cathedral and an art museum every day for their entire vacation. So we have different variety, and it's important because everyone likes something different, right? Onboard Wi-Fi, perfect timing. For those who want to work from home. So, yeah, do that. Now, multitude of wellness opportunities. So we have at 7 o'clock every morning, you have an opportunity to work out in our lounge or do morning yoga in Prague. It's all weather permitted, so if you don't want to skip a beat, to me, there's so much activeness with the excursions. I mean, I'd rather get the extra hour of sleep, but you have those really dedicated people. You know who I'm talking about. Onboard entertainment. Now, we really paid attention to this. River tends to have the stereotype that it's quiet at 8 o'clock and everyone goes to bed. I'll tell you this: I was the first one in bed. These people party. We realized that we used to have a roaring 20s party, and people were saying there's no one alive from the 20s. Like let's get with the program here. So we turned our lounge into Studio 54. We have a 70s party on all of our sailings. We said we went from Beethoven to Bee Gees. So we revamped all the music on board, and every night there's, whether it's a cultural display, a local singer, local bands. So from it's the early morning to late at night. So it's an action-packed day if you do all those excursions, come back for lunch. So it really is, I would say it's almost work. Butler service. What do they say, Sally? Once you go butler, you never
Go back.
Exactly. People are like, what do I need a butler for? That's what they say until they get a butler. They're professional packers, unpackers. They can escort you to dinner, get that cocktail we were talking about. Anything you need, they're there for you. And that's in our suite categories. Or if you have too much unlimited premium alcohol from that 70s party, you can enjoy 24-hour room service from your luxurious French balcony looking at the Danube or Rhine.
So that is in every room category.
That's it. The room service is in every room category, yes. Now, our guest to staff ratio, 2.421. I have been with UniWorld for a year to the day. I have not gotten one complaint about customer service or food. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. So I've restarted that email a few times, but I've never gotten one. So what's really nice is when you book with the Travelsmiths team, they're not in for a gamble of if you guys are going to have a good time or not. Once people go with UniWorld, they swear by it, and they never go on another river cruise again. We have a 67% return rate after a client goes. Did you have a question? I'm sorry. Yeah. Great question. The highest we go is about 189, and that's high. So we range from 32 to 189. Now, we will never get bigger than that because we want to be small, luxury, and boutique. And we also, with the European rivers and locks, there's only so big you can go. So we don't have any pickleball courts or, Jay-Z, Beyonce performing on the deck. Everything's scaled down. So it's small luxury, and we're only a fleet of 18. So again, it's that luxury experience. One-of-a-kind ships. Now, our ships are all 100% as sustainable as they can be, which is how much technology we allow, and they're also all different. So a lot of the other lines have a cookie cutter ship. All of our ships are all different. Now, if you notice, our decor is meant to feel like you're in the destination. It's all inspired by the destination to feel like the destination is pouring on board. And a lot of our ships have pools. Now, if I didn't tell you that was on a river ship, you would think it's a luxury hotel in Paris or Prague, and that's exactly what we're going for. And again, that's not for everyone. Some people want a modern look. I like to make a joke because some people think, I don't want to, feel like I'm living in a palace, or feel like I have to wear, my prom tux to dinner. It's your vacation, so don't let the pictures fool you. You can wear whatever you want. Do I recommend basketball shorts at dinner? Absolutely not. But it's your vacation. And in terms of that luxury feel and palace feel, again, like I said, it's not for everyone. I make a joke one time. Someone said they were really triggered by the color blue. That's one of the emails I got. And I was like, there's not much I can do from, Red Bank, New Jersey, but, I don't know if there's an IKEA on the Rhine, but I'll do my best. But I think I made a joke. I said, Treasure Island, it's a volcano theme. Would I move in? No. But so you have a few more days left. Enjoy your vacation. I think I even responded, I'm like, we're at war, like, relax, Norma. So the most personal service, like I said, you're not going to have anything not a worry on UniWorld. Our suites, fully stocked bar, extremely important. And for those of you who, in terms of room space, if you're the type that, feel like you're on top of your spouse with luggage and you're getting on your nerves and, on day 4, I'd recommend this suite. 1, you get a butler. 2, you get that extra living space. So if you want to, enjoy a mimosa and coffee in your room and, open the balcony door, I highly recommend upgrading. Spa. So if you,
different, I guess you call port to call? Are there time differentials? Like, 'cause I've been on a cruise before. One thing I didn't like was, all right, we're going to this spot, but it's only 4 hours. So go out on the beach, do whatever you gotta do, but you gotta be back.
Great question. It depends on the day and the destination. For example, Vienna, you're going to do 2 days. Prague, you're going to do 2 days. They try to do overnights as much as possible. Or, for example, if you're on like the Paris and Normandy route that I just did, it was just a simple a garden and a chateau along the river that we just docked in, walked, and got to enjoy the sights for about 3 hours. So the hours kind of match the destination. You'll never feel deprived. And you can even bike and meet, I call it race the ship. You can, let the ship go and you meet the ship at the next port and, ride your bike. 22 miles, I was the last one. Again, whoever says rivers for, the old days, put me to shame. But great question. Yeah, you're catching the theme here, guys. Yes.
You wanted a bag.
It was a drought. And they decided not to go because they said they were trying to keep them up at hotels, but the hotels were already booked. So what do you do when the water's too high or the water's too low?
It's the D word that no one wants to talk about. It's called deviation. So, for the most part, we can't play God. Again, I've gotten, when people email me, hey, there's fog, can I get a refund? Or when I used to work for the resorts, they're like, there's seaweed on the beach. Again, I'm like, there's not much I can do from from Red Bank, New Jersey. But it's called a deviation, and UniWorld does its best to even sometimes not even, just make a switch of the itinerary. So the point sometimes you don't even know, because it could be high water, which you may think it could be a good thing, but it's not in terms of height with the bridge, or low, or drought. It does happen. It's very slim, but when it does happen, UniWorld does its best job to put you up in the luxurious of hotels and excursions to accommodate it. They have a whole team that is waiting on edge with top technology to avoid all that from happening. If they know the river is going to, start lowering, they're going to say, hey, we're cutting it short. So they're very advanced of it. It doesn't happen sometimes. For example, there was one year where there was no deviation, and then there was one summer where there's 6. So it is something happened, but you could just swear by UniWorld and, Travelsmiths that they're going to do the right thing in terms of navigating around it, or worst case, getting you on another sailing. Because if we know that it's going to be a low water before you go, they're going to alert the Travelsmiths team. That way they say, hey, they're not going to go, there's low water, and let's see if we can get them on another sailing, or they can postpone. Correct. Did you? Insurance is a little additional.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry.
That part is not all inclusive. And when you book with Sally and the Travelsmiths team, you guys get $150 per person onboard credit, which could be used, for example, a spa treatment. And that's only because we like Travelsmiths. That doesn't go out to everyone, so keep note of that.
Can I ask a question about, I'm going to jump back to our excursions.
Yes.
Although we have many excursions included, you have some upgraded in.
Correct.
So let's talk about that before we move on, so you
Yes.
understand.
We do have a master list of excursions. Now, what those are extraordinary things such as a sidecar in Paris, or going to Mount Saint Michel in northern France. Now, I don't want you to think that, if I don't do the master list of excursions, it's not going to be fun. All the included excursions, you can simply just do those and have a phenomenal vacation. But there are those extra experiences, for example, private wine tasting on board, or a progressive dining experience, and that's all stuff that the onboard credit can take care of.
Thank you. I just
you have
wanted to make sure.
300 per stateroom already, so even if you want to do that Paris sidecar, that'll probably cover it. Yes. So we do have some, for example, on the Danube at certain ports you could do, they'll let you know when you can do it, and they'll have all the bikes waiting at the dock, and then you can meet them later in the afternoon. Yes.
There we go.
Like I said, 22 miles. They put me to shame. And here's a picture of that, by the way.
You're welcome.
Yes.
You're welcome. I remember you. I know your daughter. You look very familiar to me.
I was youth minister at St. Veronica's. I think I know your daughter.
You absolutely do. You do.
They are trying to be more innovative with the excursion, so it could be newer things like the Paris sidecar, Mount Saint Michel, Maria Theresa's palace.
What?
Yeah, you went on the Maria Theresa, great ship. So what I love about this picture is it's private. This is actually the art museum in Vienna, and it gives a great snapshot of what we're about.
Okay.
Private, exclusive. If you go to the Vienna Art Museum, you're going in an hour early before everyone else gets there. So a good way to cheat.
Okay.
So this is a glimpse of our Amazon route. We sail parallel to the Amazon as well, so do things like pink dolphin watching, piranha fishing, and they even let you swim at one point,
Correct.
for those who did. So, where do we sail? We sail all over Europe, just like the other river ships, but every ship's gonna have you're gonna have a different experience on, right? So UniWorld is gonna be that, advanced choice. Now, your best kept secret is that Venice Lagoon route. So when the cruise ships got kicked out of Venice, UniWorld has exclusive rights at St. Mark's. And you priced out how much it is on land for when they kicked out the cruise ships. Hotels went up, food went up, alcohol went up. And who wouldn't want to stay on a floating boutique hotel around Venice?
I did.
And we also do the exotics as well. So we do Cambodia, Vietnam, Egypt, India as well. And you could do our land extensions as well. Taj Mahal, Angkor Wat, Egypt. And so who said we had to leave the kids at home? We actually allow ages 4 and up, and we actually have our generations cruises. So great for multi-generational. But so we allow ages 4 and up on all of our sailings. But for the generations ones, we have triple occupancy rooms as well as connecting rooms. And I like to joke around and say it's Epcot, except a fourth of the price, and it's the real thing too. We also have our Jewish heritage excursions on a lot of our routes. Solo travel. We waive the single supplement fee. We have a list of itineraries already for the rest of the year, so you're not paying double occupancy, right? And there's some people who aren't even single, they just don't like their spouse. So we see a lot of it. Holiday Christmas markets. These are extremely popular. What's better time to go to Europe than a fresh blanket of snow? You got extra PTO at the end of the year. You got a heated floor, heated towel rack. It's a really good, nice way to hear.
Christmas market.
Groups.
Yeah.
Speaking of groups, Travelsmiths actually reserves group space on the Christmas market cruise, which is very, very hard to do. So if you're interested in that, you can sail with Sally and some friends.
December 1st of 2025.
It's a very hard plot to get, so take full advantage of that. And we also do charters as well, where you can take full advantage of the ship. So you can, if you have a big family reunion, food, alcohol, all expenses, take over the ship, why not? What's new for 2024? We're the only river line that pairs with a all-inclusive train route. So you can go from land to sea very seamlessly. So it's like a boutique train. So basically you can do Istanbul to Nuremberg, Budapest to Venice, Milan to Istanbul, and so on. We have 2 new ships with a little bit more of a modern look, the SS Elizabeth and the SS Victoria, which are right in the water, and they're even going to do the Christmas markets as well, because due to the popularity. World Cruise, I know, World River Cruise, right? We upgraded. So 3 continents, 10 countries, 4 hotels. You're going to start in South America and end in the Mekong.
Wow.
So you have 2 routes in Europe as well. So you're going to start from Amsterdam, go all through Central Europe, and then even do the south of France as well. So you do the Bordeaux, get your wine in, and end in Mekong. Chris, how much does that cost? We're talking about $48 per person starting. And with inflation and everything, it's probably cheaper to go on this than stay here. So we definitely want you to check out the Travelsmiths.
That was good. You're so good.
I'm sweating.
That's
So you also have, with UniWorld, you have private concerts. So you did the private Mozart concert? Yeah, exclusively to the river ship. This is the south of France route. And by the way, our ship, the SS Antoinette, for all my New Jersey, New York people, we actually have the chandelier from the Tavern on the Green. Yes. As a New Yorker, when I learned about that, I was like, hold up, rewind.
Does it include all the flights for 48
And what's great about our culinary department, especially with these exotic destinations, they can really accommodate, because some of us, especially being Italian and things like that, our culinary palate may not be too wide a variety in Southeast Asia. So it's really nice that the culinary department can hold your hand through that whole process. All of our land extensions, hotel is located in city center in all of those cities, and 5-star, and including your transfers. So,
Thank you.
some of our new extensions, so you can pair, for example, Paris and Normandy, or our Venice route with Athens and Santorini, Rio and Iguazu Falls. And that's that. Any last minute questions?
Oh, we got a
Do
question.
you have a real question or you just want it back? I was kidding. Yes.
Where does the rivers of the world take off from?
It takes, you're going to start in South America. So I believe you're probably going to start in Rio. And you're going to have a travel concierge with you the entire time, and you're going to be a group of 66. So their travel concierge is going to be with you on the planes and be with you through the whole process. And it's going to be, so it's October to November. So you have something to brag about at Thanksgiving. Perfect timing.
All right. All right.
Yeah. Are you sure?
You're welcome.
They are not chartered flights. Yeah, no.
Are they included in the package?
They're included in the package.
Okay.
I'm very upset. I'm a big roulette person. I'm
Rio?
not sure.
Rio?
But
Rio?
is there casinos in Brazil?
know.
I'm not
Are
sure.
we going to Monte Carlo?
Or I say we can go to Monaco and get an extension.
Does anybody else have any questions for Christopher? Well, I hope you, go ahead. Oh, Carmen, you have a question.
Yes. You're basically saying, like, does everyone need to leave from JFK or that situation? No. Yeah. So everyone's probably going to have meet, for example, let's just say it meets in Rio. Everyone, they're going to take care of all that stuff in Rio. And then for, let's just say, I'm just talking figuratively, if you had to go from Rio to Paris, that's when everyone's going to have that flight. Yes. So, yeah. And any type of flexibility, let's say, you want to do, economy or first class, that's all stuff that the team and our team can work out, no problem. And you could also, probably change your cabin, your stateroom status on each of the ships to adjust that price a little bit. We're very flexible at UniWorld. Great question.
What's the question?
Staterooms facing the water. Everyone is facing the water, but some have a porthole view, and then some have a French balcony, which is why we want to communicate with people on the Travelsmiths team that they have that knowledge. It's not something that it's with square footage and stuff, and we want you to be comfortable and enjoy your vacation. Because some people have to say, hey, I'm not even going to be in the room. I just need some place to shower and sleep. And then there's some people that say, I want the space, I want my luggage, I want my stuff flying everywhere. And that's why we have different tiers of rooms, which are different on every ship. Yeah.
We could figure that out for you. Diane.
Yes.
Up, we have one over here for Greg.
For 2024, yes. If you want to do last minute Europe right now, the prices, I'm talking like Portugal for
We have a
7
sale.
nights. I've saw $2,500. It is. How much is it to go out to dinner in Manhattan? That's why I said go now. I was looking at I was like, I'm gonna need some extra PTO. No, it's if you want to do last minute Europe, it is not too late. The only thing that's gonna probably catch you is the air. But I'm telling you, with us, $2,500, $3,000 per person, food,
That's
alcohol, gratuity. Everything's included. You can leave your wallet in the room. So if you didn't do Europe yet this summer, didn't book, I'm telling you, there's last minute stuff that Travelsmiths can look into you. The Douro usually has limited availability, but if they have availability now, it'd probably be very cheap. So I would check it out.
Chris, one more question over here, please.
Yes. Yes, there are some still available. We even had such a demand for it, we put more ships in the river.
Okay. All right, we're going to wrap it up. One more. Anybody else have any questions? No, not wrap it up. Just wrap it up for UniWorld for the moment. For the moment. I would love to introduce you to my beautiful Norma Spola, who is representing African Travel. She's amazing. Yes, you are. And I wanted to say to you that I was supposed to go to South Africa for 2 weeks with her. I wasn't able to go because my mom wasn't doing well. But my husband, Paul, who's in Curacao right now, life's tough for us. We work hard and play hard. But he brought my daughter, who is actually one of our adventure specialists in our office, and she hadn't been to South Africa. So they spent 2 weeks with you, traveling all around South Africa, which you might be telling us about after we do a beautiful presentation.
Definitely.
I know. All right. So without further ado, please take over, Miss Norma. Make it happen, girlfriend.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to have Travelsmiths invite me to share a little bit about Africa. I'll start with how many people here have been to Africa. Okay. Well, we're going to have to cover a lot in a short period of time, so bear with me. I have a challenge, however, tonight. As you know, Sally said, my name is Norma Spola. I'm Italian. I talk with my hands, and as you can see, I have a mic and I have a remote. I do not know how this is going to work, so
it's going to work fabulous.
But first, I want to say, welcome to Africa. It's all about making travel matter. We're an all-inclusive luxury company, primarily doing individual, custom-designed itineraries, and that is one of the reasons that we work so closely with Travelsmiths. We are a one-stop shop. We can do the international air with them. We can do the land, and we're really talking about having an experience that's personalized to you. The Make Travel Matter concept is part of the organization, or the umbrella company that we belong to is the Travel Corporation. It's a company that's been in business for over 102 years. UniWorld is part of that company as well. African Travel itself has been in business for over 47 years. But the 3 pillars that we really focus on are wildlife, people, and the planet. And every single one of our programs that we custom design for you will include some aspect of that. I should also add that we do not have any brochures. That's part of our sustainability goal. And at the tables, I believe Travelsmiths have put together a flyer on some of the unique advantages of African travel. And there's a QR code that you can scan and get to our digital online itineraries. But the Make Travel Matter programs are incorporated into the custom design programs that we do for you. Now, we always hear customers saying to us, you know, I've always wanted to go to Africa. And the first thing I say is Africa is a continent, not a country. There are 54 countries in Africa. And as you can see highlighted on the screen, those are the regions that we travel to. We are very specific in the areas that we visit to make sure that it's going to be an experience that you, as an American traveler, would like to have. We also know that if you're going to Africa, if you're a single, or if you're a family, or maybe a honeymoon couple, your experience in a destination is going to be very different. So we have some digital, what I like to call idea books, and those are focusing on our classic itineraries, groups, romance and honeymoon, LGBTQ, solo travel, and family travel. And these idea books will give you an example of what you could do. It's not cut in stone, it's just a suggestion. to give you an idea of how many days you might need to go in a certain destination and what you might see. So what I thought I would do today is take you on a virtual safari, since many of you have not been. And that begins very early in the morning, because we're getting up early. Usually it's dark outside, 5:30, 6 o'clock wake-up call, because you're going out on your drives in tandem with when the animals are out hunting. So it's an early morning sunrise drive. This was taken when we were in South Africa with our guide and our driver. And of course, you see the wildlife. This is rush hour in Africa. And the wildlife can get quite close. But remember one thing, and they will tell you this on safari, when you're in your vehicle, they want you to sit down and they want you to pay attention to what they say about the wildlife, because the animals see the vehicle as another animal. The moment you start stepping out or taking your camera or screaming or whatever, that's not a good thing. So we're going to tell you what not to do as well as what to do. And of course, going on safari, it's all about the big five. And the big five are your lion, your leopard, your rhino, elephant, and the buffalo, okay? But that's not all that there is. There's a lot of other wildlife that one can see, and that's what makes every day on safari a different experience. You've got your hippos and your zebras, you've got your cheetah, and I'm going to give you a little clue here, because a lot of times people don't understand what's the difference between a cheetah and a leopard. The reason you'll know a cheetah is because it always looks like it has teardrops coming down from their eyes. So even though you see them in a distance, and their heads are a little bit smaller, but that's what you will see on safari. Now you go out early in the morning, and about 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock, the vehicle will stop. Your driver and your ranger will set up coffee service, and you'll have an opportunity to have coffee in the bush. And maybe a little something to eat, but mostly it's just coffee and relaxing and just walking around the vehicle and enjoying the day. And then, of course, you go back out on your game drive until you come back to the lodge or your tented camp for your full breakfast. Now, that's about 9 o'clock in the morning, and you're looking at your watch and saying, okay, now what do I do? All right, well, that's the opportunity, depending on where you are, to go out and visit either local communities, to meet the people, to do some experiences like taking a bike ride in the community or meet local artisans, do some shopping, whatever, or maybe just relaxing. And because remember, you're on vacation too. You have to relax when you're there. And then dining is really a unique experience when you're in the bush. And we try to do that sometimes for lunch or in the morning. If you take a hot air balloon ride, the balloon will land in the savannah and it will be set up just like you see here and have a beautiful champagne breakfast in the bush. I have to tell you, it's a magical experience, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to do it. And I must say that if you do have the opportunity, it's a memory that you won't soon forget. But you also, as I mentioned, have the time to relax, and whether that's sitting in the pool or being with your family, taking a walk, having a massage, these are all activities that each of the lodges and tented camps will be able to provide to you. I mean, you can see here a gentleman reading a book with the elephant in the background there, or just going out on a boat ride, depending on where you are in Africa. Now, the afternoon game drives, and these are all included in the price of your safari. The afternoon game drives begin about 3:30, 4 o'clock or so. So you go back out into the wild and you see all your wildlife. But what we like to do is stop when the sun is ready to set. And this is sundowners, which are African cocktail hour. And no matter where you are in Africa, the sunsets are amazing. You'll see colors, the oranges, the yellows, the reds, unlike anything you've ever seen, because it's just the way the atmosphere is in Africa with the flora and fauna around it. Then you'll go back after your sundowners to refresh and get ready for dinner. Sometimes you can dine underneath the stars. Afterwards, you can sit out under the stars around what we call a boma, and talk about what you've seen. And usually the lodge will have someone there to point out the stars. And if you've never seen stars. You've never seen stars like you've seen in Africa, where there's no ambient light, and you feel like you can just pull them out of the sky. When I was on recently in South Africa that Sally mentioned, one of my colleagues has an app that you can put on your phone, and you can literally just hold your phone up to the constellations and it tells you everything that's up there. So it's really quite amazing. And remember, depending on where you are, you might be in the southern hemisphere, you're going to see different stars that you might see elsewhere. So it's all about experiences in Africa. In many cases, of course, a hot air balloon I would strongly recommend if you're going to Africa to have that opportunity, and it is something that is available. Walking and doing private guided walking tours to some of the reserves, as you see with the rhinos, meeting the people or taking a helicopter tour, or even sleeping out under the stars. One of the things, though, I did want to mention, because this comes up quite often, is what is the difference between a national park and a private reserve? Now, you'll see a lot of times national parks are mentioned, and they are great, but just let's keep in mind that a national park has opening and closing hours. You must stay on the road, and anyone can go into a national park. The beauty part of a private conservancy or a private reserve is that only guests staying in properties that are located on the reserve have access to the wildlife in that area. So it's a much more private experience. Imagine you're on a national park, somebody spots some lion or whatever, and 25,000 vehicles all converge around the lion. When you're in a private reserve, that doesn't happen. It's very limited, and you have access to the wildlife, and it's almost like your own personal tour. Number two, you can go off-road. So if you're seeing a pride of lions at 500 yards away, in a national park, you're going to view them from 500 yards away. In a private reserve, the vehicle's going to go up, and you're going to get right close to them so that you can take your pictures and really you can hear them as well as see them. So there's a lot of exclusive adventures that you can also do in a private reserve, such as walking tours and bicycling and so forth. A lot of the times when I do my presentations, people say to me, well, where do you stay when you're in Africa? Let me just say this. Africa has some of the most world-class hotels and properties. You are not going to be slumming it when you go to Africa. There are amazing properties that are very typical to the regions that they're in. Some of them have a very colonial look based on where they may be located. Some are by the seaside. Private settings, as you can see up there in the upper right-hand corner, Sally, that's where you would have stayed if you were, okay? Right up there at 12 Apostles, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where the most beautiful sunsets are. And then, of course, very eclectic in design, very modern in many cases, but really quite lovely. And then you have lodges. Now, lodges are, kind of like a hotel, but they're located in the bush. But when you see lodges, they all have a sense of place, and they are quite lovely. Very spacious rooms, and many things like indoor-outdoor showers and so forth. This happens to be one room at a property in Botswana, where you're literally having your own little area deck area, so you can see the wildlife walk right by your room. Now, when I say tented camps, I know that's what you're thinking, and trust me, couldn't be farther from the truth. This is what a tented camp looks like in most of Africa. You have hardwood floors there, beautiful beds, deck areas, plunge pools, indoor-outdoor showers. Most properties even now have air conditioning. And I tell you, the first time I went to Africa was back in 1980, and trust me, there was nothing like this. Nothing like this, and I still had a good time. So this is what you're looking at when you're talking about tented camps. They really are spectacular. And the sleeping out under the stars is a unique experience. Usually you have to spend at least 3 nights in a property so that you can have the opportunity to sleep out under the stars. It's unique. You can't do it anywhere else, but it's quite special. And we find now, especially, I would say probably since COVID, Africa tends to be a destination that's very popular with multi-generational families. You know, you've got a grandparent who takes their kids and they're gonna take their grandkids, and you're really gonna bond on experience. And if you're gonna do that, sometimes it's worth looking into villas and private residences, because they are quite lovely. Each property would come with its own vehicle, its own private chef, and so forth. So you can go from one end of the spectrum all the way up to private villas. And a lot of the properties are now building these right on their, in their areas. But no matter where you go, the properties have a sense of place. So we really talk about safari your way. So what I'd like to do now is take you very, very, very quickly through the top destinations. And we're gonna start with South Africa. That's one of our favorite destinations. It's got great value. You've got your international cities like Cape Town and Joburg. I'm gonna try this. Let's see if it works.
I'm Trevor Noah, and I'm South African. And because I'm South African, people from all over the world insist on asking me questions about South Africa. So, I decided to make an ad to answer some of those fascinating questions. Like, how cold and snowy is your Christmas? Well, Tracy, unfortunately, we can't afford snow. No, I'm just playing. We're in the southern hemisphere, which means when it's freezing in Connecticut, it's fantastic in Cape Town. Klaus sent me this one. Can you play golf in South Africa? Well, Klaus, we actually have some of the finest golf courses in the world, judging by your 37 handicap. Can you play golf? How many stars are your 5-star hotels? Ryan wants to know, can I meet the lions? Oh, I don't know if you want to meet them, but you can see them on safari. And get this, it's not just lions, Ryan. We've got everything. There's elephants, there's rhinos, there's giraffes, there's buffaloes, there's leopards. Come on, man, expand your horizons. Ostriches. Is South Africa fun? Is it fun? Are you even watching this commercial, Michelle? Paragliding, bungee jumping, surfing, river rafting, shark cage diving, hot air balloons, hiking, cycling, wine tasting, whatever this guy's doing. Does that all look like fun to you, Michelle? Does that all look like fun? So, now that I've shown you South Africa, my only question is, when are you coming to experience it for yourself?
I love that commercial.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that little commercial with Trevor Noah. Down in South Africa, obviously one of the highlights is going down into the Cape of Good Hope. You see the little African penguins down on Boulders Beach. It is a world-class city, right? Cape Town is actually the gateway for the Cape of Good Hope. You've got shopping, you've got sidecars, you've got world-class dining. The winelands are just 45 minutes to an hour outside of Cape Town. Well worth at least a 2-night stay, but it can be done in a 1-day trip from Cape Town. And world-class restaurants, and of course wine tasting, craft beers, and believe it or not, they have a very big gin business now going on in South Africa. So that's one of the things that we did in South Africa that you missed, Sally.
I know.
Was the gin tasting.
Lexi didn't.
But, and again, I'm going to show this to you, and it's a very detailed map, but the reason I'm pointing it out is that many times if you're talking to people, they're going to say, oh, I went to such and such a place and I stayed here. You must stay here. This is just a map of part of South Africa. And as you can see, there are numerous properties in the same region. So we don't want you to pigeonhole yourself thinking that if you don't stay at this one particular property, you're going to have a horrible experience. There's so many options when you're traveling to the various private reserves and, of course, national parks in South Africa. And South Africa is also a gateway to Zambia and Zimbabwe. And the reason that we go there, of course, is the smoke that thunders Victoria Falls. It's an amazing experience. You can see the falls. That happens to be me up in the upper right-hand corner on a micro light going over the falls in low water. And even from that height up there, you can feel the mist. So if you go in high water season, I can guarantee you, you're going to get a poncho because you're going to be soaking wet. Those falls have millions of gallons of water that are going over every second. So it's really, but it's a spectacular UNESCO World Heritage Site and well worth seeing. Now, of course, we go to Kenya in East Africa, and that is the birthplace of the safari. That started many, many years ago. Nairobi is your gateway, and Nairobi happens to be the only international city that has a national park just 45 minutes from the city. You don't get the big 5 here, there's no elephants, so you only get the big 4. But it is something that you can do from Nairobi. But most people are going on to the national parks like Amboseli, which you have the big tuskers there. And of course, up north to Samburu, you have another 5. We call it the Samburu 5, where you have the ostriches, the grubby zebra, the reticulated giraffe, the basic oryx, and the giraffes. These are specific to the northern part of Kenya. And then Kenya is also very, very popular with these private conservancies. Much of this land were formerly cattle ranches that have now been acquired, and properties have been built in the conservancies, and they're bringing in wildlife to save them, particularly the rhinos. So there's a rhino conservation projects that are going on up there in the conservancies. But because it's private, you can do bike tours, you can go safari on camelback or on horseback, or go to an elephant orphanage and see the baby elephants as they're nursed. Obviously if they lost a parent, they're going to be nursed back to health. And then of course the Masai Mara, which is the jewel in the crown for Africa, for Kenya. Now, many of you might have heard of the Great Migration, and maybe have seen the Great Migration. First off, I want to say the Great Migration is not one specific time of year. As you can see by the map, it goes all year round. What's different is what most people refer to as the Great Migration is this period of time when you have hundreds of thousands of zebras and wildebeest and eland and Thompson gazelle. By the way, only 4 animals migrate. The rest of the wildlife are resident in the country. So you're never going to not see the big 5. It's only at this time when they refer to the Great Migration, unfortunately, is when, you can't see it on the screen here, when the animals are crossing from Tanzania up to Kenya and crossing the river, or coming back down in the fall from Kenya back down to Tanzania. That's what most people refer to as the Great Migration. But in fact, it happens all year long. And this is like the masses of wildlife that you will see.
Wow.
And of course, a beach vacation is oftentimes requested to combine at the end of a safari, and Seychelles for Kenya is a wonderful combination. Its sister country is Tanzania, because again, right over the border. Tanzania has the Tarangire National Park, which has the highest concentration of elephants. It is a national park. You've got Lake Manyara with the flamingos and the tree climbing lions, which is unique to this particular area. I don't know how they get up there, I don't know how they get down, but as long as they stay up there, that's fine with me too. But the other UNESCO World Heritage Site is the Ngorongoro Crater. The Ngorongoro Crater is in Tanzania. It is the largest intact, inactive crater in the world, and the base of it expands 100 miles. So it's its own ecosystem right in Tanzania. And you go in for the day. Your hotels are located up on that rim. There's one way in, you do your safari, and then you go out at the end of the day. And then, of course, you've got Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, as well as the Serengeti, which is the other side of the water from the Masai Mara. To combine with a beach vacation here would be a wonderful thing to go to Zanzibar. You've got a Moorish influence, got wonderful spice markets and such. It's also the birthplace of Freddie Mercury. They have a museum there. And if you're really wanting something different, there's a resort that actually you can rent for one night to spend sleeping underneath, under the sea, so to speak, as you can see. So that's a unique opportunity. And then we'll head over to Botswana, which borders the northern part of, it's north of South Africa. And here it's all about the water. And Chobe National Park was the first national park in Botswana. And you'll see the highest concentration of elephants there, over 50,000. And they are everywhere, I can tell you that. But everything is, again, about the water. And the Okavango Delta is one of the few deltas in the world that has no access to an ocean or a sea. so its ecotourism remains intact. So the flora and fauna that you find there, the wildlife is amazing. It's not unusual when you're going out on game drives to do this sort of an experience with your vehicle through the water to get to the other side, because as I said, it's all about the water. Great sunsets, helicopter trips over the Okavango Delta, a Makoro ride, which is these dugout canoes that you see there, and of course the meerkats, which are really fascinating in the southern Kalahari. And don't forget those sundowners, but we're going to do a Delta style in the water. And then my favorite is Rwanda for the gorillas. The gorillas are so magnificent. But you know, one of the things that I love to say about Rwanda, Kigali is the capital. You know, Kigali, I should say Rwanda, is the poster child for making lemonade out of lemons. If you all recall, in 1994 they had the genocide in Rwanda, the Hotel Rwanda and all of that. Nowadays, Kigali is the safest city in Africa, and Rwanda is one of the safest countries in the world. And there's a good reason for that. But we're going to start in Kigali with the art culture and fashion culture, which most people don't know about. The fabrics that are made in Rwanda are now in such high demand by fashion designers that when people go into Kigali, you have the opportunity to stay there for a couple of days, pick out your fabric, have a shirt or a dress or something made, go out on your safari and come back and pick it up. It's like Hong Kong was back in 30, 40 years ago. But you can do a Big Five experience in Rwanda by going up to Akagera National Park. It's got all of the Big Five there. Also going down to Nungwe, you have the chimpanzees, the golden monkeys, canopy walks, as you can see there, and the colobus monkeys, before heading up to Volcanoes National Park to see the gorillas, who share 98% of our DNA. And it's a magnificent experience, so I'm going to play this video of one of my colleagues who was in Rwanda not long ago.
Oh, wow.
And you can see how close he is with his camera. And one of these things that the gorillas love to do is they eat most of the day, as you can see here. So much like humans, we're eating all day long, and then at the end we just sit back and relax.
He likes the green leaf.
See, he's just sitting back, relaxing, scratching his head, and enjoying what he just had. It's like after Thanksgiving dinner, you know? But the reason I said that Rwanda has been the poster child for making lemonade out of lemons is that the Rwandan government was very smart. What they did is, following the genocide, the government instituted a policy, a mandatory policy for every citizen age 18 to 65. At the last Saturday of every month, they have a program called Umuganda. And what it is that these citizens have to go out, either build homes, clean up the streets, or whatever. It's community service, mandatory. But in exchange for that, the fees for the gorilla permits and the chimp permits and all of that goes back to the community. So they have a very vested interest in the success of the country, and also in taking care of the tourists that go there. And that's why I say it's really one of my favorite destinations. Now heading back south, we'll go to Namibia, and that is going to be vastly different to everything we've seen because it's a very dry and arid area. It's located on the western or southwestern shore near South Africa. You have the Skeleton Coast, which is because of all of the shipwrecks, hundreds of shipwrecks over the years, the last 200 years or so. The dunes that meet the ocean, the petrified trees that are 5,000 and 6,000 years old. It's really quite spectacular, as well as the desert-adapted wildlife. The wildlife has adapted to this very, very arid desert. And up in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see the animals in what looks to be a very whitish ground area, which are actually salt pans. It's a Tosha National Park. And these salt pans are so large they can be seen from space. And that's what you're seeing here. And of course, you also have some very interesting tribes, the Himba tribe and the San Bushmen. Now, these are indigenous tribes to this part of the world. The San Bushmen in the lower left-hand corner have actually, they're a hunter-gatherer people. They have not changed anything in the last 20 or 30,000 years, and they're the second oldest Aboriginal tribe in the world. And they can be found in Namibia as well as in Botswana. Madagascar is one of the islands off the coast of South Africa. Very unique, and it's one of the destinations that you're going to be seeing a lot about or hearing a lot about, and that is because they call it the 8th continent. I like to call it the Galapagos of Africa, because here on this island, 80% of the flora and fauna cannot be found anywhere else in the world, much like what you see in the Galapagos. You've got over 110 types of lemurs, the little characters down there, and you've got the tree of life, or the baobab trees, that are really self-sustaining for both the animals and the people. During the wet season, those tree trunks absorb all the nutrients and creates a very dense food product for during the dry season. And they have some beautiful beaches as well off the coast in Mozambique, for South Africa and Namibia and so forth. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about Morocco, because that also is in Africa. It's in North Africa, but a little bit closer to us, because it's only about 7 hours from New York, as opposed to 15 or 16 hours to some of the other destinations in Africa. And this is a very unique destination because you can do this in about 10 days, but you're going to go to places like Casablanca, Marrakesh, and going to some of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites that you can see here. The Discover trip that we do is about 10 days, and it goes to the imperial cities and down through the Atlas Mountains into the desert, and then back up to Marrakesh. The Flavors of Morocco focuses on the food. Same itinerary, but just focuses on the magnificent food. You know, they have that unique tagine cooking that they do in Morocco. And believe me, you will not go home hungry from Morocco. It's very interesting that you see the types of spots that you can visit. When you go down to the Atlas Mountains, what we try to do is get you down there about 5 o'clock or so before sunset, and the vehicles will go into the desert as far as they can, and then you'll get on your camels and go right over the dunes and into your tented camp for the night. The Kasbah that you see in the upper left-hand corner is one of the most famous Kasbahs because, believe it or not, Morocco is the largest movie set or studio. They have the largest studio sets in the world. Atlas Studios is there, and they film movies, you know, like the Star Wars and Dune and movies like that have all been filmed in Morocco. You've got the famous oases, which are, of course, where the dunes go down to the water, surrounded by the date palms, before you head up to Marrakesh, which is a cosmopolitan, world-class city. You've got your horse carriage rides through Marrakesh. The spice markets, the market itself, the Jamalthana Bazaar, which is bizarre in of itself. It's like a circus, but it's really quite fascinating. And if you could not get down to the Merzouga Desert, there is an opportunity about 45 minutes outside of Marrakesh to go to the Agafay Desert, which is a rocky desert, as you can see in the lower right-hand corner. And you would have an experience to, go on a camelback ride or, go into the desert, but it's rocky. It's not a dune desert. And one of the things with our Make Travel Matter is that we try to, introduce our guests to experience that would be supporting the local enterprises or businesses. And the Argan Oil Cooperative that we visit in Morocco is something that we funded for women, underprivileged women, or maybe widowed that have no source of income, because Africa is a very patriarchal society, and women, as a rule, don't have the kind of the opportunities open that we all do. And so the Argan Oil Cooperative is an opportunity for them to make a difference, feed their families, and pass that talent along to future generations. And then, of course, Egypt. And Egypt, I'm sure many of you have been there. One of the reasons I want to point out Egypt is because finally, after 12 years, the Grand Egyptian Museum is about to finally open to the general public. Right now it's by invitation only, but just so you know that there are antiquities in the Grand Egyptian Museum that have been sitting in storage for thousands of years, and they've never seen the light of day, and they will now be showcased at the Grand Egyptian Museum, which is located out by the pyramids. And then finally, the best time to go really is any time to go to Africa, because obviously it's quite a diverse continent, very different climates and times of year to go, and that's why our folks at the Travelsmiths are there to help you. And this video, I hope, is going to play and just talk about the top safari destinations, just to recap.
This is it.
Yeah?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Well, I made it.
Huh?
Made it.
Beautiful job.
Thank you.
Uh-oh. Whoop, whoop.
Oops.
Up. Up. Bring it back.
I can't.
Help me. Tommy. Tommy, help me. Help me, Tommy. Hey, I don't know.
It's not,
She hit a button.
No.
She hit a button.
no, it's not.
We got to see the video.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. Don't touch.
Okay, I'm going to put it down. See, I can't talk
Thank you.
to it. Thank you.
Leopard. Handsome. I didn't realize that about the difference between the private reserves and the national parks. I'm like, oh,
Big.
it's not a whole place. Not a whole place.
That's just a microcosm of what I cover usually. I can drill deep. It's special.
And Nairobi.
That was my first one. My first trip.
My first, not my last. Both. I did both.
I did not Kenya as well.
And we flew from Marseille over to Quebec.
That's the best way to do it, is to fly. That's a Lexi thing.
The what?
I said, that's a Lexi thing, it can't be wrong. So I'd like to leave you with this, one of my favorite quotes from Boyd Vardy, who owns a lodge in South Africa. And it's, but nature doesn't see status or wealth or social position. It cares only about presence, one's ability to read the signs, navigate the terrain, and translate the language of the wilderness. Nature is the great equalizer. A safari will change your life. And I'm here to tell you, I welcome all of you. And I will say that Travelsmiths is going to be doing a wonderful program with us in 2026 to South Africa. So if anybody's interested, see Sally and her team, because
We'll be
it's going to
emailing
be
it out.
It's going to be spectacular. We're custom designing it just for Travelsmiths. So I don't have any bags to give out, but if anybody has any questions, I would love to take
Wait.
questions.
Anybody have questions? That was phenomenal, Norma. That was phenomenal. Woo! And she could have talked another hour, easily.
Yeah, that's true.
So how are you going to give out that?
Oh, yeah, well, I don't know. Do you have to draw names or something?
You got to ask.
No, I can't ask the question. Oh, you don't want, I'm a teacher. You don't want to give me
This gentleman has a question.
Okay, yes. All right, the question was, how many days would you need? Honestly, you're going a long distance, so I always say to people, if you have the time, a minimum might be 10 days, but usually 10 days to 2 weeks. I mean, you just don't want to push it. It's not like going to Europe. When you fly to parts of Africa, when it's 13, 15 hours or more, depending on how you're routed, it's a long day. I mean, when I went through Doha, and it was 22 hours. So it's a long haul. So spend the time there, acclimate, relax, and be able to enjoy. But when you're on safari, it's really quite relaxing. You get up early, you do your game drives and so forth. But when you're in cities, you're going to be doing a lot of sightseeing. But build in time for you to relax. Okay?
Anybody else have questions?
Yes.
Who's ready to go to Africa? Who wants to go to Africa? All right, I have a few hands. Go ahead, question?
TravelSmith is going to do this thing in
Yes.
2026. How many days are you going?
So, Lexi was.
Well, Lexi is going to be doing this itinerary. What we're doing is trying to fit it in about 11 or 12 days with pre and post stays as options. So if you wanted to spend longer time to go someplace before and to spend more time in Cape Town at the end, you can do that. And that's how we're
And
building
we will
it.
be sending that out because we have everybody's email information. So once we actually, because it's 26 and it's 24 right now, but we know that it's a bucket list. We know it's not inexpensive, you know, for the quality of what you're getting and the personalized service, these lodges, going to private reserves instead of, you know, there's a lot of different moving pieces. But like Norma said, is that we will be able to, we'll have it together probably in the next 2 or 3 months. I know that.
We're going to have it probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
All right, so
Yeah.
I lied, 2 or 3 weeks.
We should have
So
it.
we will have
Yeah.
that out probably to you sometime in the end of July. That's what I figure. And then, what, honey?
We're going to be doing it sort of very late April, early May.
And what is the weather at that time?
That is actually fall in South Africa because it's spring, opposite seasons. But it's very pleasant during the day. It's great for sightseeing because you're between usually 60, 75 degrees. You can sometimes get a little cool in the morning on game drives, but as soon as the sun comes up, it's beautiful. Yes?
To do an excursion and a trip like that, are there a lot of immunizations required?
No, I would say anti-malaria medication would be the only thing that you could take. I took it. I mean, I just do. Many of the people that were on the trip did not take it.
Lexi and Paul did not take it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a personal thing. I've always taken the shots. In my history, because I've traveled a lot there, I've had yellow fever. But, you know, it's interesting. There are so many immunizations that you can get, like tetanus and all that other sort of thing, but it's not mandatory. Nothing else is mandatory. No, it's not like you don't need yellow fever or anything like that, unless you're coming from an infected area, which you wouldn't be, so.
Anybody else have questions? All right, so how are you going to give this back?
I don't know, do you have names that you can
What?
draw?
I don't have names. I mean, I have names, but I don't.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Jamie. Jamie's one of our other advisors, just rolled in a little bit later.
Typical itineraries that you're putting together, let's say for a honeymoon couple,
Okay.
10 nights, what's like the cost?
I can't give you a cost because it
It's
really varies on the level of property that you use and all of that. I mean, the ballpark figures can run anywhere from, you know, 10, 11,000 to 27,000 per person. I mean, you know, it's a big range. But another thing I look at for private tented camps is that it could run anywhere from $500 per person per day to $5,000 per person per day. That's the range. So, you know, what we like to do is have a little discussion with yourself and Sally and one of our specialists and determine what's the right fit for you. You know, my feeling is there's always a property out there for you that fits your budget. As long as you understand, you know, what it is that you're getting for your money.
Thank you for coming.
Okay. We
All right,
do
so
have a door prize.
All right, so how are you going to do it?
I don't know.
Uh-oh. Go ahead, Bose.
What were the big five? Ask them, what were the big five?
Okay.
All right, but
Well,
raise your hand and,
Okay.
all right, come on.
The question is, what are the big five?
Raise your hand. Somebody raise your hand. Hurry up. All the way in back? All the way in the back. I got her first.
Okay.
Go ahead. Hold.
Buffalo, rhino, zebra.
Okay. Next hand up. Come on. Put your hand up. What?
Yeah, and? No,
She said that. What? Nope. Hands. Nope.
It was the one with the tears.
No, that's the cheetah. What? Wait a minute. Where, Jennifer? In the beard. He's had his hand up. No.
Wrong country.
All right, next hand. I have a hand up right here. Go ahead, go.
What's that? Leopard, yes, the leopard.
Go ahead, keep going. Go ahead, wait a minute. Give me.
Yes, That's it.
All right, you're my winner.
Okay, so we have a safari bag for you, and inside of it is a lovely bottle of South African Pinotage.
Woo!